Hi everyone, welcome to our EDSC 590 research class. So glad you guys decided to take the course. It's an exciting course, but a very busy one during this cohort fall 2017 section. And it's just busy because it's a very short amount of time to cover all the content. So what this video or screencast is just to walk you through the website and how the course is set up. What you're looking at right now is the home page. So you can click on the left tabs to access everything in Blackboard, but that home page is that top tab. In Tools, what we will often be using are the announcements. Probably at least once, if not twice a week, you'll see an announcement. This is our first announcement of the day, or the week, or the course, actually. And what I try to do with all the announcements is post them here and also have them emailed to you at the same time. So that way you always know when there's a new announcement up there. Also on the Tools tab, if you need to meet with me for any reason and you can't do it in person, sometimes we can chat by phone. But the other thing I often will suggest is we meet by Blackboard Collaborate. And in Blackboard Collaborate, and I'm sorry, my computer's a little slow here, you'll have a scheduled session. So it doesn't have any scheduled sessions right now, but down below here, if we set up a time to meet, I'll put a session there that you can click on and you'll be able to go into the meeting room to meet with me. I have to caution you that if we're going to meet by Blackboard Collaborate, the day before or even an hour before, I would make sure you have the most recent Java update installed, because every semester when I go to do Collaborate, it asks me to update my Java, and it takes about 10 to 15 minutes. So just make sure that's up and running and you can get into Collaborate before we meet. Other tools that will be useful to you that you can reach from here, you can look at the course messages, you can send email. You can also send email through the regular George Mason email, and you can access your grades here as well. So those are the big things. I would say the announcements, the Collaborate, and the grades. Like I said, you can send emails if you want through this. You can get to the discussion board this way as well, but there'll be other ways you can get to the discussion board, like on the left tabs here. Okay, after Tools, there's Meet the Instructor. And this is just a picture of me, top of one of my daughter's heads when she was little. And this is just my contact information. Email is the best way to contact me. If you call my work phone, it also has my cell phone on there, and I recommend that you either call me on my cell phone or send me a text identifying who you are. I always say that because sometimes people just text me without saying who they are, because a lot of times I'm not in my office because I go out to the different school sites to teach cohort classes to different cohorts in Arlington, Prince William, Loudoun, and Fairfax. There is my office in 205B of Findlay if you do want to meet with me in person, but I'm very agreeable to meet on the phone or via Collaborate. This other piece here is just a very short video where I tell you a little bit about myself, and then in Module 2, so it won't be in the first module, but Module 2, you have a chance to earn a little bit of extra credit. The questions in that quiz are not just about me, they're also half about the course and navigating the course. Okay, so make sure you've played around with the course before you take the quiz, because just watching the video will only get you about 50% of the points. And again, it's extra credit, and you can take it as many times as you want, the quiz in Learning Module 2. Underneath Meet the Instructor are some really important things. This first document just gives you some general expectations. It's a Word document, and if you click on it, it will pull up like it's pulling up a Word document. Mine pulls up at the bottom, and you can click on it and read it. But the main takeaway that I want you to have from the course expectations is that a lot of people think an online course, for whatever reason, is not going to have as many behind-the-scenes work hours as an in-person or face-to-face class. But actually sometimes I would say it's a little bit more. But I would expect at least as many hours as you would have for a face-to-face class. So a face-to-face class usually is 3 hours of work per credit hour beyond the classroom. So that's 9 hours for a typical course. So if you're spending about 9 hours a week on this course, that's probably where you should be. So a lot of people will say, oh gosh, this course is a lot of work. But like any course, it does have requirements of work to be completed and expectations that it will happen, quite a bit of it beyond, when you just log into Blackboard for a few minutes. This here is a Word document of the syllabus. I'm not going to click on that because it's the same thing as a syllabus here. This is just a tabbable syllabus, and I'm going to put it out of instructor mode because this actually looks different in instructor mode. And you could look through the whole syllabus by clicking on a particular part you want to look at, or the other thing is to use the arrows to page through it. This first page is just very generic information about the course. It gives the course text, which is Fundamentals of Educational Research, 7th edition. I do highly recommend the 7th edition. The class moves very quickly, and if you have the wrong edition, it's just going to be confusing for you because there are some additional things in this version. I also highly, highly recommend, if you haven't gotten an APA manual up to this point, get that manual, because I will be I don't always do this for other courses, but for this particular course, the research course, I am very particular about looking through your paper for your APA style, including your APA references and parenthetical citations throughout your paper. Okay, so going on to here, beyond what I went over here, what it says on this first page is giving you an overview of the course. I am hopefully going to guide you through gaining an understanding of basic methods of educational research and how to design a well-structured study in educational research. So that's what you're going to be understanding in this class. Hopefully by the end of it you'll feel very, very comfortable reading research articles that are studies, and also designing a study on your own. You won't have to perform a study, but you'll be designing one. And again, this is just more specifics on what I just said as an overview. It goes through some of the different methods, design methods, experimental and quasi-experimental, other different aspects of research, such as survey research, whether it's going to be single subject or group research. We'll talk about qualitative, which is the non-numbers based method of research, where you're getting rich narratives from your participants. And one of the most important things for you all that you'll be most interested in is how to apply this research in your classroom. This next tab, technology requirements, it goes through what you will need in terms of hardware and software to do this course. My chief recommendation here is, if you're unsure, go to IT services. I am not a technology guru. I always tell people, if I can do this course, you can do this course. Because, I kind of have taught myself, taken courses at Mason for teaching online courses. So if you really do have a specific hardware issue, IT support is the best place to go. Okay. Next tab. This just talks about the delivery model. Because it is a cohort course and it's compressed, I will post modules on Mondays that will be due at the end of the day on Wednesday. And then I will also post modules on Thursdays that are due on Sundays. So there'll be 2 modules posted, one on Monday and one on Thursday. And then a module's due right before another one gets posted. So the Sunday module's due on Wednesday evening, and then on Thursday, that Thursday module is due on Sunday evening before the next module is posted. Okay, and the most important thing to know, there's a lot of tools inside the course that we'll be using, but if you go to the learning modules, it's like a one-stop shop for the week. That will connect you to any and all things that need to be completed for that particular week or that particular module, because you'll actually typically have 2 modules a week. There'll be a few weeks where you have more intensive work, so you'll only have 1 module. But if you're wondering what you should be doing, go to the most recent module, the current one that's due, complete everything in that module, and you're good to go. You don't actually need to go anywhere else except into that module to complete everything. All right, this is the schedule of the course. The first column is the date, what the content is. You'll notice that nothing is due today because it just, of course, just opened. But things are starting to be due as soon as Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So what I do is I make everything due by midnight the day before the start of the next module. So everything will be due like 11:59 on Wednesday night before the course, next module for the course is up on Thursday morning. I give everybody a 24-hour grace period. So for each module. So for each module, if you don't post it by that night before the next module is posted, you have until the end of that next day, and that's the day that the next module is actually posted. So you'll have, for this one, you'd have until Thursday at 11:59 p.m. to submit everything for full credit. Beyond the grace period, there will be a small deduction for lateness, and it will get more if it's extremely late. But I do that just to honor people, who do get things in on time. I mean, it's a lot of work to get things in on time sometimes. Okay, so you move throughout the course. Each module set up the same. It tells you the date, what's being covered in the module, and then what is due. And the things that are due from the previous module. So things that were assigned in Module 7 are due in Module 8 at the start of Module 8. Okay, you'll notice in the middle of the course we have several times, starting with October 9th, where you only have one module due a week, just because the work is pretty intense in those middle weeks of the semester for this particular course. Okay, moving on to the types of assessments. A lot of your points for this class are going to be earned by bi-weekly activities in those learning modules. 90 points actually of it is earned that way. There will be also some things that are worth 0 points, which are the interactive quizzes, which while they're not worth any points, they help me know where you are in terms of your learning. They help me modify things, make announcements that are helpful, and it lets me know what everybody is getting and what I need to maybe add a little bit more explanation on. So while those quizzes a lot of times are 0 points, they're important that you complete them. A lot of times I also give extra credit. If you complete all your modules on time for 4 weeks, then I do give extra credit for the quizzes, all the quizzes being completed and all work being completed for several weeks in a row in the modules. Okay, and that's a benefit to you. Always a little extra credit helps. The next thing is the city module. This is a human subjects training module because anytime we work with human subjects in education, we have to go through a special training just because in the past, participants in studies were not treated as they should have been. So all researchers at universities have to go through this training. In terms of your training, it does take 2 to 3 hours, and it's at a third-party website. So I'll click on it just so you can see. It'll say you're exiting Blackboard when you click on it. And like I said, it takes 2 to 3 hours to complete. You'll start with register, and it does take, I would say, several steps to actually register. So the registration itself can be a little bit tricky. When you go into Learning Module 1, and I'll show you in a second, there's a Word file with directions on how to navigate that third-party website and get registered for the basic course. The basic course, like I said, takes 2 to 3 hours, so you'll have until the end of Learning Module 2 to complete this, even though it's assigned in Learning Module 1. And I would dedicate, you're probably going to need about 2 to 3 hours to complete it. Again, it's no point value for the course, but you cannot pass the course without completing it. So that's why it's considered pass-fail. You cannot pass the course without completing that certification, that training. The other 2 assignments will go into more depth. These are the 2 big assignments of the course. In the mini project, you're going to be designing via a PowerPoint a hypothetical study which you would conduct. And you're going to design that later on in the semester. We usually start around week 8 designing it when you've learned enough to put a solid study together. We will start working from the very beginning here on our literature review paper, and a lot of what you gain through reviewing the literature you'll use to support, and it will be on the same topic. Your mini project will then be on the same topic, but it will be extending the research that you've been reading through your literature review. It'll be like, okay, well, if I designed a study in this area, what could it look like? So that way they kind of fit together and are married in a way.